Happy Friday, everybody. Actually on our way out to Kingston to pick up a sign and lockbox on a real estate closing that we have this morning. And I thought, well, we got some windshield time here. So I thought I've had this video kind of in the back of my mind for about a week or two to do it. And I keep getting sidetracked, and then or doing areas where the connection's very limited. As you know, I do these videos live, and it's kind of wonky when it cuts out. It pisses me off, and I don't feel like redoing the video, and then it cuts out and nobody really ever sees it. So let's talk about the mistakes. I don't want to call it mistakes, really. The learning lessons that Steven made starting this insurance company. So if you followed my journey at all, I started this insurance company in March from complete scratch. I have no insurance experience whatsoever. I got my insurance license, and a lot like real estate, getting your license doesn't teach you how to real estate, nor does it teach you how to insurance. Well, I'm just stubborn enough to think that I can do things like this and figure it out on my own, which I am, right? I've made a lot of progress, and what I know today is a lot different than what I know in March. And had I had known what I know today in March, I probably, I'm not going to say I wouldn't have made these mistakes, but they probably would have been limited on what it's cost me, right? So insurance is really weird right now. I've told a lot of people that. I've made several videos on it. So me as an independent agent, right? So I'm a brokerage, right? So I can go out to all these different companies, insurance carriers, who you would actually have your insurance through. So you don't pay me, you would pay the carriers, and then they would provide the coverage. I'm shopping you, right? It's like you're hiring me to then go out and find out who's the best deal. However, you don't pay me anything. I would actually get commission when you signed up with a carrier. That carrier would pay me a commission. And usually that's somewhere between, I would say, 8 and 15% on average of your policy. Now, very first thing that I learned, and it kind of got me into mistake, is this takes way more time than what I thought. I thought this was so easy. You get a little bit of information, you get your name and your address, your driver's license number, that's it. And then I go in and I put it in the computer, and then I click a button, I get all these quotes back, and I can call you in 10 minutes and be like, hey, yeah, here's your cheapest one. I go over it, and you're like, oh, Steven, that sounds great. Click and submit, and then you have insurance. That was what I thought. Boy, is that so far from the truth. This takes a lot of time. Now, without getting down too many rabbit holes, the standard carriers, right? So typical home and auto carriers, especially I'll say the companies you see on TVs, very standard carriers. I do have a software system. It's called a Rater that I can plug your information in. And from there, it will spit me out preliminary quotes. This is where, again, something I did not know. Preliminary quotes are preliminary. That's before they run your history report. That's before they run your MVR on your vehicle. That's before they do all this stuff. So here I was thinking I got this quote back, $1,000. This seems great. Let me click finalize premium. And then I'm going to get into this side of how that whole finalized premium happens after that. But then it would kick it back, and I've seen quotes doubled, tripled. From what I submitted. I'm like, well, gosh, these people were thrilled on $1,000, and I got to go back to them telling us $2,500, which is now no longer the cheapest, and I got to start the process all over again. Well, that takes way, way more time to do all that than what I ever guessed, right? Because I'm a numbers person. When you break down the numbers, right, and this is before my website. Now I have a website. People can go in, submit their information. It takes my time of gathering information, inputting information down a lot. But it's still I still got to go in, ask probably some follow-up questions, because these carriers all have different questions to verify stuff, and I have to put a lot more stuff in, but it's limited my time a lot. I lost my train of thought there. But anyways, so we'll go in, put your information in, hit the finalize quote, comes back, way higher. We're starting the process all over again. I had no clue that. So the preliminary quote thing was not near as accurate. Now, I've had them come back. Actually, sometimes I've had them come back a couple bucks cheaper. It all varies. Completely varies on this. And then going in there and submitting stuff to underwriting to get a finalized premium. Then the underwriter comes back and says, oh, well, we need this. Oh, well, we need a photo. I have spent a lot of time in my car driving around taking photos of people's front, back of houses, even my own rentals, to get insurance. It's just wacky right now. These insurance companies are not wanting to write business, and this is just the business. Nothing to do with me. It's nothing to do with whoever other insurance company you have. There's just really weird time in insurance. What I've learned. So that's a huge learning lesson. And in doing so, this is what led me to make a mistake. For my time, right, the amount of time it takes me to gather people's information, do it all, and then what I would say is it's $1,000 policy, get that back. Let's just say Steven makes $120. Well, then I have kind of like a middle person that takes a cut of that, right? And then that doesn't count. That doesn't count the taxes I would pay on it. That doesn't count, nearly we'll call it right now probably about $600-700 a monthly overhead of like softwares and weird things I got to buy. You got to spend like about $3,000 a year on insurance. For me as an insurance agent, I have to pay for like cyber insurance and stuff like that. Insurance. So again, my time, it breaks down to like 20, 30. $40 an hour would probably be like a best case, right? On what I would say is like an average policy, the time you spend on it and everything like that. Now, however, the ideal behind insurance is you renew the next year, right? You build up that way. That's the ideal behind insurance. You don't make a whole lot of money day one, like in real estate, where you make all the money day one, or I'm sorry, on the closing. But real estate, you don't make money after that, obviously, unless they call you back to sell the home later. So I was looking at it, I was like, well, my RO on my time is still probably better spent helping people on real estate. So I made a full-time hire. And I'm just going to say, it's no discredit to the person that I hired. But they just weren't the right fit. I made a bad hire. It is what it is. I'll admit that. I've talked to a lot of people about hiring. I've done a lot of research on hiring for years, right? Nothing to do with, I was just doing it for this job. This goes into a real estate company. I love the psychology of it, people. But what I have learned is no recruiter, no nothing. You can always predict. Now you can put things in place that has a higher chance of hiring somebody good. But ultimately, I don't want to say it's a coin flip, but it's about a dang coin flip. Anyways, I want somebody with a lot of insurance experience because, again, I need somebody to teach me. I basically was hiring somebody to teach me to kind of run the business, almost be a manager of the business while I was doing all these quotes. And I had all these like, hey, here's all the things I need to do, and process, and we can lay it out. We can really hit the ground running. Well, I hired somebody that didn't have a lot of independent agent experience, and I didn't really know the difference between the captive and independent as far as how the business goes. And I can tell you right now, captive people, for the most part, again, I'm just telling you what I've learned. Captive insurance and independent insurance is what I am. Independent, completely different. They're got the one carrier to go in. I got 30 carriers to shop. So you have to know the ins and outs of all of them. You have to, contact this. And then we have another middleman in between all this stuff. It's just a whole mess, right? So I would say I made the mistake of hiring them. And honestly, if I was, let's say, a well-oiled insurance machine, I had all the systems, I had all the processes, and all I needed was to hire somebody to come in and quote and write business and help people in that way, probably would have been great. But I made a bad hire thinking that somebody was probably more of a management type material that can really, I can just say, give minimal direction and they can take it and run with it, because that was not the case. Essentially, I had to micromanage them. I had to end up going back fixing a lot of the mistakes. They're supposed to do a lot of things, and it took them hours to do when something realistically should have been 10 minutes. But it is what it is, right? That was a learning experience. Had several weeks trying to figure it out, and it just didn't work out. Not necessarily because I fired them. I made another mistake, and that's what kind of led me to letting them go, because things were getting better. It was, but it still was so far from what my thought was on the initial hire. So, you're paying somebody basically. I brought them on a very high salary for insurance, because again, there wasn't a lot of business to write because I wanted to build systems and processes and all this. Well, that was a mistake. So that cost a lot of money. And then the other thing was when I joined insurance, right? Insurance companies don't want independent insurance companies or independent carriers don't want to what's called appoint me to write business for them, because I'm very risky, right? I don't know what I'm doing in their eyes, and they're not wrong in a sense, right? So I have to join what's called like an alliance or an aggregator, and in that they give me access to carriers, right? So that I could go in. So I'm talking about I got 30 carriers, so I get access to all those carriers, and then they just take a percentage of that. Well, when that happens, I write underneath what's called their code. Right, so although yes, I am your insurance agent, and I'm technically getting paid the majority of the commission on it. However, you're truly not under Stephen Hensley Insurance, right? You're under I don't want to mention names because for whatever reasons, I would say just for legal reasons, probably don't want to mention some names, but that process when I would submit for finalized quote, and what I was not told, and a main reason why I'm left, is the very first quote I submitted. And now they tell me before I signed up with this company, we usually get quotes turned around 1 to 2 days. All right, no problem. Sometimes if we're very busy, 3 days. No big deal, right? I can tell people, hey, I got preliminary quote, I'm going to submit it, we'll wait to hear back, a couple days, give me no big deal. Very first quote I submitted, 6 days. That's unacceptable. Nobody wants to come to me and say, hey, Steve, can you run me a quote? Yeah, sure. By the time that I get all your information, by the time I put it in, and then I click submit, which that's probably a day, sometimes 2, depending on how quickly people get me their information, another 6 days, unacceptable. Just completely unacceptable when you can go to other ABC insurance companies already established. They're probably going to get you a quote in 30 minutes. Bam, let you know. I can't do that because these carriers I'm not directly appointed with. Most of the standard. Now, I'm directly appointed with a lot of carriers now, but when I started, none. So now I can't. I can go in, like I'll have, at the end of next week, I should be fully appointed with Progressive. That's a huge one for me to get. And I'd be able to go in, quote you, and then have you numbers back in Progressive in 30 minutes, finalize it all myself, don't have a middleman. But having the middleman that ended up on average, let's say took 2 or 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, was very painful, because then I would submit it to them, and then they would come back, because they would then take it to the carrier, the underwriter, and they'd come back to me in 5 days and say, Stephen, we need it's new construction. I've had 2 of these now. It's new construction. We need you to do this cost analysis, which is like this huge freaking piece of paper. I got to fill out all. I mean, it takes. I don't know what I'm doing, so it takes forever to do it. It's so annoying to do it. So I need you to fill this out, then they'll resubmit it. So I got to fill that out. It takes me a day, and I got to resubmit it. So then it's another 3 or 4 or 5 days till I get the number back, because it starts the process all over again. Well, this basically completely unacceptable to me, along with just countless lies from this company. I basically joined a rah-rah company. We have all this and all this systems and processes. Come to find out, we have all this training for a brand new agent and all this. They gave me an Excel template. It says week 1, this is what you need to do, but nothing said like how you do it. Nobody guided me through it. I had like a couple video meetings, and usually ended up talking about quotes and things of what I would say is creating business, because nobody trained. It was bogus. But I've learned a lot since then. It was good. But to join that company, $11,000 is what I paid up front. So that's gone, right? That's gone, because I'm leaving that company, and I will join another company. And again, I've done a lot of research on this. Been doing this research now for about a month and a half. I know I've been knowing I'm going to leave to join this other company. It seems like it's going to be a great fit. We'll see, right? Everything looks good on paper till you get in there, and then we'll see where the BS is. But in the meantime, again, I've gotten direct appointments with National General, which is Allstate, Progressive. I have a lot of surplus carriers. Those are easy to get direct appointments on. And then I have the ball rolling with some other ones that tell me Q4, Q1 of next year that they're going to be open to doing direct appointments, which will then allow me. But again, to access all the carriers, right, to quote you, I've still, for the most part, standard. Home and auto is considered standard, right? I'm running you through this system. I'm clicking submit, waiting on a middle person to go in, do all the back and forth, come back to me, go back to you, come back, and then get some quotes. So I'm not able to create the customer experience that I want to in insurance. I didn't know that I wouldn't be able to do this. But here I am, all right, and I should hopefully maybe by the end of next week after that, be finalized with a new company, and I'll even have different carriers some better carriers, in my opinion, than what I originally had access to. So I think that's going to be a good thing. It's going to allow me to help. And again, their systems process from talking with what I would call like the manager of Tennessee is set up a lot better for me to create a better customer experience and get numbers back faster. But really boils down to two huge mistakes, right? Hiring the wrong person, even though I would say wrong person, it was the wrong person for that. That was a mistake on me. It wasn't the person's fault. And then joining the wrong company, right? Drinking the Kool-Aid, when really I was so eager to get going, and realistically, it was not the right company, especially for me, and especially when now knowing, of course, I would have known this, but there was a lot of BS up front. I was lied to on a ton of things. So yeah, there we go. As always, I want to share this experience with you all, but that was about $20,000 what that cost me, that arguably benefited me financially, not really, but now I learned from it, right? And that's the important thing. I wouldn't know what I know today without going through that process. So for me, it's always something learning. Same thing. I started businesses when I was, much younger. All of them failed. And it was, over the course of all of them, tens of thousands of dollars. But I probably wouldn't have had such great real estate business success without trying those to get learning. And that's how it is, right? It's all a learning experience. And I would encourage anybody to start up a business and don't necessarily look at it as, I want to become a millionaire or make all this money. Learn. That would be one of the things that is start a business. You're going to learn so much that if you had not started it, you would have never known. You would have never learned. Sure, there's mentors and people can give you advice and all that stuff, and there's kind of cheat sheets out there. But man, I really enjoy kind of learning stuff on my own because my opinion, the way I do things is what I've learned is different, especially business, than what you read in books, than what you see on YouTube and all this stuff. And so I really enjoy doing business the way that I want to do business and the way that I, as a customer, would want to do business with that business. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah. I don't think I'm getting off on, no, not this exit, one more exit. So yeah, if you have a question on insurance, let me know. I can still, my website's up, StephenHensleyInsurance.com. You go in there, home and auto submit. If you want boat, RV, motorcycle, business, commercial, all that stuff, just message me. We can work on it because I can do all that stuff. I still have all the carriers in the meantime of this switching. This will be a pretty easy transition. I've set it up that way. It should be until probably I'll make another video in a week and be like, this is horrible. Everybody's screwing up. So we'll see. But yeah, I'm learning a lot. I want to keep sharing it. I have a bunch of notes on this, like things that I want to share. One thing is going on is talking about how close you are to your fire department. I've ran into some crazy issues recently on insurance with that. I also want to talk about when you file a claim, how that impacts your insurance agent. I think that's something that'll be super fun to be transparent with you guys about because nobody talks about that. So I'll have some videos coming up. I don't know how many videos I'll make in the next week or two, really, until we're probably on the backside of getting all this stuff switched over. But as always, questions, holler.